Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Today we'll be reacting to ReZero, How Truly Season 2 Ends by Echidnut. Echidnut. Okay, what a weird name. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. So without any further ado, let's begin.
The final chapter of ReZero Season 2 was cut from the anime entirely, probably
Yeah,
because it would have been one of the biggest cliffhangers of all time.
biggest
Aside from that, it was
cliffhangers.
also my personal favorite moment in the ReZero novel. Ever since I first read this chapter, I looked forward to the day I would finally get to see it animated.
Oh, really?
And then it became cut content. But this chapter will always be special to me, so hopefully this video can serve to share some of that excitement with all of you.
Okay. Final chapter of the Sanctuary. Okay. So what is the cliffhanger, though?
The last chapter of ReZero Season 2 begins in a dark place with the sound of footsteps
Okay.
echoing through the corridor. Due to the melting snow, the mud and gravel were painfully cold underneath her bare feet, but she continued walking until she reached the outside, seeing the sunlight again for the first time in 400 years.
First time in 400 years?
She expected her reunion with life to be rather moving, yet not a touch of emotion could be found in her eyes. Her lack of amusement was disappointing, yet something that impressed her was how well the reactivation ritual had remained intact. As she adjusts her eyes to the bright sun, she silently applauds herself for the convincing performance she delivered. As expected, her plan was successful. The fact that she's alive again was proof of that. The pink-haired woman appeared uncomfortable in her small body, but knew she would eventually grow accustomed to it. Adapting to things was never an issue for the thirst for knowledge incarnate. Because she was no longer Ryuzu Shima, she decides to call herself Omega.
Wait, what?
Which means
Shima?
According to Subaru's memories.
Wait. What? Omega? What? Wait. Let's go back. Because she was no longer Ryuzu Shima, she decides to call herself Omega, which means the end. She was no longer Shima. Oh, this is like exposition what happened on Shima after like she teleported away. Interesting.
Ryuzu Shima, she decides to call herself Omega, which means the end according to Subaru's memories from Earth. Omega's only regret was not being able to witness Emilia's suffering during her third trial. Although she despised Emilia,
But who is she
also
then?
appreciated her cooperation. If Emilia hadn't broken the barrier, Omega's half-elf body wouldn't be able to leave the sanctuary. So, for that, she was grateful, but thinking about Emilia made Omega's chest overflow with emotions, so she ignores them and ventures out through the forest while opening and closing her hands to make sure they're functioning properly. Reflecting back on the final events of the sanctuary, she notes that Beatrice has parted ways with the archive. Roswaal has lost his guiding light, and Garfield is still completely filled with anger inside. She looked forward to watching over them.
Who is she?
And in the shadows. 400 years, this world had awaited her return.
And
what it offered her now was infinite potential to satisfy her inexhaustible curiosity.
Wait, is that Echidna?
She picks a flower and pops it into her mouth, questioning why it would someday wither. Both flowers and memories alike would eventually grow faint, and Omega wondered if perhaps now she'd be able to someday understand. Why must love fade?
What?
Once again, the witch was unleashed upon the world.
It is Echidna. And what? The end? Wait, that's the chapter in the novel?
That's how season 2 was supposed to end. Of course, my garbage video doesn't do it justice, so if you'd like to read the chapter yourself, it's right at the end of Light Novel Volume 15 or right at the end of Arc 4 in the web novel. There's multiple reasons I call this my favorite chapter. Firstly, it gave an additional purpose to all the happy moments in this season's conclusion.
Wait a minute. So Shima is... No, Echidna is Shima. I mean, that kind of explains why I heard Echidna back in the what is it, the last or the previous episode? I mean, the final one of the final episodes. Like for a moment, like Shima started talking. I mean, they changed the voice actress to Echidna for some no fucking reason. I thought it was like I misheard that, but like it seemed like it was Echidna back then. Wait, what? How is that possible, though? I'm kind of confused on that.
Now, instead of just being there, they also serve as build-up for a shocking plot twist that completely changes our perspective of what we saw this season. Echidna was always the one in control. Everything that happened was all just part of her plan.
Yes.
It was like Subaru and the rest of the cast were just Echidna's puppets who
That is
mistakenly
interesting.
thought they had free will. The reason Echidna always looked like she was planning something is because she was. The chapter also highlighted her curse. For the first time, we got to witness the affliction Echidna suffers from endlessly. The insatiable desire for unattainable gratification forever plagues Echidna, unwavering in both life and death. It's why her second coming lacked any pleasure or joy, even after being dead for 400 years. Almost immediately upon resurrecting, life alone was no longer enough to satisfy her.
Seriously?
No matter what, she always needs more, and that's what makes her such a perfect example of greed personified. Why must love fade? From the novel because I think it describes Echidna flawlessly.
Simply how she just fucking got like a flower into her mouth and just tasted it. Like I'm so perplexed, like knowing that this was Echidna though. So she resurrected. Interesting. Really interesting. I mean, this is a hell of a heck of a cliffhanger.
For Echidna's fleeting satisfaction. Greed makes it impossible for her to be satisfied, so the reason love fades is because of greed. But the fact that Echidna's asking that question means greed is the one thing she doesn't understand, despite having infinite knowledge. It's very poetic, and this chapter was really the first time the author let us understand a little bit about it.
Interesting.
It might have been the shortest, most simplistic chapter of the entire novel, yet I felt it was by far the most impactful.
Interesting.
But for anyone who's wondering how Echidna revived
how?
herself, it was the result of two things. A reactivation ritual that was established even before her death, and Ryuzushima accidentally taking the trials 10 years ago. After Echidna's death, Roswaal discovered that her experiments were unsuccessful because she was trying to put her soul into an empty vessel.
Okay.
However, if the vessel already had another soul inside of it, it was possible to possess their body by eliminating the lesser of the two souls. Thus, during Ryuzushima's trial, Echidna planted a small piece of her soul in Shima's body.
Oh.
Ever since then, she'd been slowly taking control of her body until finally she possessed her completely, which essentially killed Ryuzushima.
Wow.
This is why we hear Echidna's voice coming from Shima in Season 2, Episode 24.
That's why she was like barely exhausted when she talked with Subaru back, like how the sanctuary was created. And she said like, I don't have much time left or something like that. So was that like the final moments of her life before Echidna took over completely? I mean, I was like weirded out, like why was she exhausted all the time and like the other Ryuzus were not? Like what happened to her? I mean, she did like spirits, they operate the same as spirits, like they need to like rest so they can get mana back. But like it was foreshadowed like really like interesting in a way that this now, after like knowing that Echidna possessed her body, this actually makes total sense why she was exhausted back. Interesting.
After possessing Shima, Echidna just needed Emilia to break the barrier to make it safe for her to venture beyond the sanctuary.
Wow.
Everything went according to her plan, and she reincarnated as Omega. So far in the novels, Omega has been completely absent from the main story, though I do expect to see her again once we're close.
She's been
to
completely...
Thankfully, we can follow Omega's adventures by reading her series of side stories. They are side stories, so there's not going to be too many big reveals, though I will
look at her.
the first one to at least give you an idea of what's been happening since
What?
Season 2.
Interesting.
Before she left the sanctuary, Omega recovered her special mana crystal that contains the souls of all the other witches inside of it.
Oh.
From the crystal, the witches can watch everything Omega does and interact with her too.
Wait,
so
what?
These side stories have a lot of funny dialogue.
No fucking way.
She ventures into the forest and beyond the sanctuary, but runs into a life-threatening issue. Snow is cold, and people freeze when they are frozen, so Omega tries to use fire magic to raise her body's temperature before she dies of hypothermia. Remember, Omega used to be a mage as powerful as Roswaal.
Yes.
However, she just got a brand new body that came with a brand new gate. Because she hasn't yet had the chance to adapt to it properly, the fire magic went horribly wrong and caught the forest on fire. Now, instead of freezing to death, she's about to burn to death. And if she dies, then her master plan would all be for nothing.
So what is her master plan to begin with, though? She resurrected. So, I mean, this is fucking crazy to actually think about this for a second. Like, she manipulated all of these events. I knew, like, there was something left, like, really, like, weird with Echidna, how we parted ways with her. So, but by this extent, like, she just manipulated everything. The whole fucking arc was manipulated by her. What is her ultimate goal, though? I don't know, like, and also it begs me to wonder, like, now that she's been resurrected, what is Roswaal? I mean, why didn't she come to Roswaal though? Why hasn't she made an appearance? I mean, uh, she was absent from the main story, as it was said in the video. So, like, why wasn't she, like, why did she not go back to Roswaal, to Beatrice, and to everyone? Like, why is she absent from that? Like, what is her ultimate goal? Why hid her appearance like that? Unless it's like other Echidna and not like the Echidna that we've seen in the graveyard, which is the real Echidna, but the Echidna from the Castle of Dreams, which is the embodiment of greed. And it would kind of make sense since she literally, when she literally just resurrected herself, like, she wasn't excited at all. It just questioned, like, love itself, life itself. So it really begs me to wonder, like, what is her ultimate goal? Like, after 400 years, she's back to the real world. I mean, maybe her ultimate plan is to stop Pandora. Like, she's the only one who actually knows everything about Pandora and knows that if she brings along, like, Subaru and everyone else, like, there's no way that they can defeat her by that. But, like, simply just going out of her way to actually, you know, analyze even more so she can, like, grab every information she has. And then finally, in the final, like, end game of ReZero, when we finally confront Pandora, she's gonna appear to aid Subaru and everyone into defeating her, like, giving us crucial information. Maybe that's why she's operating alone instead of, like, just announcing herself. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Why would she not, like, go to Roswaal, Beatrice, and everyone, like, reunite with them after, like, 400 years? That is really fucking weird. And also Roswaal, also, like, I'm interested from Roswaal's perspective now. He said, like, my ultimate goal is to resurrect Echidna, right? And Echidna just fucking resurrected. So his goal is literally done. He just doesn't know that Echidna has been resurrected, which is kind of interesting. And if it turns out that Echidna is actually evil all along, I mean, the embodiment of greed, not like Echidna herself, but the witch factor itself, like like the greed, is Roswaal going to, like, be beside Echidna since she's resurrected and wants to do bad things in the world? Or is he going to stay by Subaru's squad, like, and Emilia? Like, who is he going to, like, he's a wild card right now, man. But he is, like, been cursed. Like, he cannot, like, harm anyone, but he cannot harm them directly, though. He can harm them indirectly, so he can, like, literally do something else entirely just to avoid, like, his soul being, like, destroyed. But it even feels like he would actually sacrifice himself even for a kid. I mean, the man has been sipping for her for 400 years, so it is really interesting as well. But yeah, back on the topic, though. Like, so she brought, like, all the witches inside the crystal. Wow. So, I mean, maybe her plan is to revive all the witches, though. I mean, why would she bring them along in a crystal if she's not gonna do anything with them, to be honest?
Plus, the other witches inside the crystal would die too, again, or something. Ryuzu's gate wasn't suitable for using water magic, so instead, Omega uses wind magic to redirect the flames elsewhere. This allows her to survive, but ends up spreading the fire even more.
Okay.
After just barely escaping death, Omega felt exhaustion for the first time in 400 years. While she's resting, a group of bandits approach her with weapons. What a group of bandits might have wanted from a defenseless looking wall
Don't
is
give me
up to
these
your
fiends.
imagination, but Omega tells them she'll do whatever they say if they're able to remain standing for the next 30 seconds. Omega then reveals her true form, allowing her soul to visualize behind her. After seeing the face of the Witch of Greed, one by one the bandits drop to the ground, puking their guts out.
Oh, that's her, like, that's what she said.
18 bandits in total, and not a single one survived.
Wow.
Omega loots their bodies, finds
That
some
is
new clothing
so
to wear,
creepy.
and then continues her journey as if she didn't just murder 18 people and burn down an entire forest within just 10
minutes of being alive. She did that.
The first Omega side story, and I thought it did a great job showing how
Wow.
dangerous witches really are. Echidna quite literally just reincarnated, and already she's causing unprecedented amounts of destruction.
Yeah, this is literally the embodiment of greed and not, like, the real Echidna.
Because Omega is best girl. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm also hoping that Omega will
Wow.
be in the VA or something, but maybe I'm I'm just in denial that my favorite chapter is never getting animated. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like the video.
Maybe in season 3,
I'm out
maybe.
for now, though. Keep talking about ReZero and stay hyped for season 3. Peace out.
Okay, there's a lot to talk about. Holy shit. And I just love this side story about like how she just revealed her true form. Like, look at this. Wow. And she called herself not Echidna anymore, but Omega. And also, like, proves to me that this is like the embodiment of greed, like the Witch of Greed, and not like Echidna. Similar to how there's Satella and Witch of Envy. So by just being alive for 10 minutes, she just took down the entire forest and killed 18 bandits. Wow. And only that, she just stood there, though. Like, so that's why she said, like, in Castle of Dreams, when she was talking about Subaru, like, I'm making you drink this tea so, like, you don't puke and die after seeing me. Something like that. And to stabilize his witch factor, sloth witch factor. So, man, she's terrifying. After watching this, I don't know if she's going to be good, to be honest. I have no idea, man. Like, after, like, seeing this backstory, side story, whatever, she just doesn't care for human lives. Sure. I don't know. I mean, there were bandits, there were bad people, but, like, they don't deserve to die, man. Holy shit. Man, this is crazy. This is fucking crazy. Why haven't they adapted this into, like, a final scene, though? I mean, it would have been, like, completely new experience, not gonna lie. But, I mean, it's kind of better to not adapt this whole mini story of, like, Echidna being revived, simply because it would ruin the moment of, like, Subaru, like, finally becoming an eye to Emilia and just defeating the bunnies and all. Like, I think it was a really better direction to just leave it out. I mean, surely they're gonna, like, animate this in this beginning of season 3. I mean, this is, like, big stuff. This is really big stuff. I don't know if they're actually not gonna animate this at all. Damn, so Shima died. I wonder, like, what would be Garfield's reaction, and Beatrice's reaction, and Roswaal's reaction, and Subaru's reaction, and Emilia. Like, all of those reactions, like, I want to see them, like, witnessing Echidna being revived yet again. Especially Beatrice. Especially Beatrice and Garfield. Garfield was so attached to Shima, like, called her, like, Granny. I mean, she was the one who actually saved Garfield from, like, the trials and everything. So yeah, I'm really curious to see, man. But yeah, this is amazing ending. I mean, it would kind of make sense. Why would they not include it as being, like, a biggest cliffhanger? So imagine, like, seeing this and just waiting for, like, who knows, like 5 years for another season. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new, like the video, and I'll see you guys next reaction. Peace.